Welcome to the unveiling of the official Touhou character top 8 tier list. Remember, I have a degree in Touhouology, so my tier list cannot be wrong. Thank you for understanding. Now, for real, before we get into this, the Touhou Tuesday question is, who are your top Touhou characters? Or just feel free to tell me about your Touhou waifu. Disgusting. I'm not talking about any of the characters outside of the top 8 because I don't feel that strongly about the other characters. They're really cool, but they just don't appeal to me as much. Now for the list. S is reserved for the best of the best, and that is Alice Margatroyd. Needless to say, I love her design. It screams sassy, yet it's still reserved. I like that she has the meme lore of being the only character to survive the PC-98 reboot, and all the implication it has about the Grimoire of Alice. I love that she doesn't fight with her full power, and instead uses dolls just because she likes them. It reminds me of people at card game tournaments that use their favorite pet deck even though it's bad. Also, being referred to as the 7-colored puppeteer makes her the queen of lesbians in my mind. Finally, the fanon version of her doesn't annoy me as much as other characters' fanon renditions. I personally imagine her as like a cold and snarky person, except around Marisa, who she's very comfortable with. A tier is for characters with lots of things I like about them, but feel like there's just something small missing. These tiers are in order, by the way. The queen of A tier is none other than the red-white shrine maiden herself, Reimu. I know this is a very vanilla choice, but bear with me. Bear with me. I like her no-nonsense way of solving problems, aka beating up everyone until she beats up the right person, but I do have some weird problems with her that prevent her from being number 1. First, I both like and dislike her outfit. I enjoy the shrine maiden aspects of it, but the midriff showing is kinda weird. Like, let me be the first person to say that I like the midriff, but it clashes with the overall aesthetic. Also, for how important she is to Gensokyo's safety, there's an alarming lack of Reimu lore. I want to know what she thinks about everything, instead of generally knowing that, she cares about everyone and doesn't hate yokai as much as she tries to make it seem. But despite these things, she's a fun character to have as the main protagonist. Rounding out the top 3 is Sakuya. This pick surprises myself since I usually dislike maid characters, but outside of her duties to Remilia, Sakuya hardly bows to those tropes. She's often called the elegant maid, and that's a great way to describe her. She's supremely confident in her abilities, and she has the skills to back that up. Also, the blue and white aesthetic is to die for. That being said, I hate everything that has to do with her fanon representation. I see JoJo references so much and I am annoyed to death with them. I like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and it's still too much for me. I'm glad it's died out a bit in later variations of Sakuya's character, but still it's a knock on her for points. The final A tier character is Sanae. She hits me as an earnest character who doesn't try to hide her true self. Her true self being kind of a sneaky bastard, but it's endearing nonetheless. I like that being a shrine maiden is more part of her character than Reimu's, and she even interacts with the gods of her shrine. She also acts as a self-insert character in some respects since she lived in the outside world and references those things. I always find it funny imagining Sanae talking about modern day things like Pokemon or something and the residents of Gensokyo being confused about it. For B tier characters, I'm not that attached to them, but if I were to be asked if I'm a fan of theirs, I would say I am. The top of B tier is Marisa. Now, her design is cool, but a bit boring to me, except for the massive hat. The best thing about Marisa to me is her sense of humor. I always laugh when she blames the incidents on her partner, whether that be Alice or Reimu, or whoever she's working with. She actually seems a bit humble despite coming off as confident, answering rhetorical questions from her enemies in like a very earnest manner. Number 6 is Aya, the number 1 reporter of Gensokyo out of 2. Admittedly, I don't know much about Aya since I didn't finish Shoot the Bullet, but I like her high energy and her black and white aesthetic complemented the red and it makes her feel very old school cool. She also has one of the only timeout attacks that makes sense to me and is fun to play. Her speed makes a great impression on me in a game where I like most of the characters already. 7 is Nazarin. I really like the characters of UFO, mostly because of their dedication to Byakuren. Outside of her adorable design, what I love about her is the glow up when she makes her mid-boss appearance after being relegated to being a first stage boss. For the life of me, I cannot remember first stage bosses, so making her reappear later was great. The final slot goes to Sekibonki. She's more of a side character, but she looks distinct in terms of Touhou characters due to her primarily black outfit. Also, I love Dolahans, and I didn't even know she was a Dolahan until her head puffs off in the middle of a battle. I find that hilarious and unexpected, so I remembered her long after the game was over. And that's the tier list. Well, this tier list is absolutely objective and 100% the truth. Sometimes my opinions will change, and with Touhou 18 coming in May, the top few characters may shift, and I might even find a new character rising in the ranks. Thanks for watching, and if you like this kind of content, or my Touhou gameplay, please like and subscribe. See you next Touhou Tuesday.